Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to our brand new Women's Lacrosse weekly wrap-up / preview show called In the Crease. Last week when we started it, we didn't have an official name. Now we do. I am Dan Scott, the voice of the Paladins. This is Kirkland Lewis, who is the women's lacrosse head coach here, and coming off of a week in which they won both outings, 12-6 on the road. 12-6 at home against Radford, and then 15-14 in overtime on the road at Winthrop, and that was, of course, an important conference win. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I mean, coming off the week with 2 wins, and they were both battles, was, stressful then, but it's good to look back and be like, okay, they're both wins, so feeling good about it.
Are you relaxed yet?
No. Stress level is always, I think, a 10.
Is there ever a point that you do step back and take a breath?
I don't think so. I think even when I think I'm relaxed, I'm still very uptight and
Not
stressed.
even in the off season?
In the off season, I think it is a little bit more relaxing, but I think by the time I think back, I'm like, okay, I'm relaxed. And I'm like, but you have to reach out to this recruit, or, you need to start thinking about this. And then it just, triggers it all over.
Because as we know in Division I college athletics, the games may stop, but really there's not a quote-unquote off-season, is there?
There's not. I mean, I think the NCAA gives you, dead periods where that's really, you can't really do much in terms, and you don't have your team at that point in the summer. So you get a couple weeks here and there, but there's always something to do that can kind of make you feel like you're getting ahead of whatever's coming down the pipe next.
And as we talked a little bit last week, as the head coach, there's always something to do. And it's not always something to do with coaching lacrosse either.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just last week we planned a epic Easter egg hunt. So, could be anything that, you got to get into.
Well, let's talk about the week that was. Looking, first of all, at the Radford game. You said it seems like so long ago.
Yeah.
It was less than a week ago as we're recording this on Monday. But a 12-6 win here at home. And one of the things that we talked about when we did this last Monday was how well that you guys were able to execute off the draw. Mm-hmm. And then you posted some video of that after the Radford game to kind of back that up of your ability to do that and how that led to some success.
Yeah. I mean, with the draw team, it's been nice because I think Meg Beal really stood out in a couple of games and had double-digit draw controls, and then teams obviously adapted and tried to shut her down. And then we have Lauren Farber get 7 draw controls, or Sophie Shaw come up with some really nice wins. So it's a well-balanced draw team, and we have 5 draw takers that can, rotate in if we really find ourselves in a rut of not winning the draw. But we've been able to come out of games and be even at the final score with draws or have won them, which is always really crucial.
What makes someone good at winning the draw?
Oh, I think it's whistle. If you're the actual draw taker, it's whistle reaction and being able to track the ball in the sky and move at the same time. And if you're on the circle, it's boxing out and also tracking the ball. But it's just a lot of hand-eye coordination and speed. But also you have to just be a little bit smarter because there's a lot that kind of goes into winning a draw when you have someone else that's also, it's a 50-50 ball essentially.
Sounds like a combination, and this is someone who admittedly is not overly familiar with lacrosse, but it sounds like it's a combination of a basketball jump ball and the hockey puck drop to a certain degree. Because you mentioned obviously the quick whistle, blocking out even and ball in the air, or so there's a lot of elements that go into it.
Yeah, there's a ton of especially now how the game's developed. There's actually draw sticks, so there's sticks that are specific to taking the draw, and you take the draw, and then you have to switch with someone on field who then runs that stick off and gets their stick. So it's a whole thing, and you have people that can push the draw, pull the draw. For for some teams, they're trying to just win it to space because they have fast circle people. So the draw is really crucial, and there's a lot of skill into it.
So is that a skill that can be taught? Is that something you look for specifically in recruiting? Where does that come from usually?
I think it's a little bit of both. You definitely want draw takers that have the skill, and then you can develop them to be more versatile when they're in college. But draw circle players, a lot of the times, are kids that are really good at, ground balls or 50-50s and that are fast and athletic. Those are kind of the kids that you see, like maybe they haven't played on the circle, but you put them on and then they're able to get better or just understand, how to win those 50-50s.
So obviously that was one part of that game that went well. What else did you do well in a 6-point win?
With Radford, I think that we did a good job of just playing through a lot of things. We, we felt that we didn't get a lot of calls, and it was a very aggressive game. And I think our team did a good job of not really dropping down to different levels. We kept playing Furman lacrosse and played through a lot of the over-aggressive plays, and were able to make some spark plays out of things that seemingly were scrambled.
Well, obviously you did a really, really good job with that. So you get the midweek win, and then you go into conference play, and you have to go to overtime on the road at Winthrop. Take us through that one.
Well, I think we started out really strong. At one point, I think we were up 6-1, and I think in the fourth quarter they went on a 5-0 run. And what you could start to feel it change a little bit towards in the third quarter and on, but we never were down in that game, which I think was a first for us. We didn't have to fight back to win. We stayed up the whole time. And I think when we got into overtime, like I tell you, I'm like stressed and I hate overtime. I hate watching it. I definitely don't like being in it. But I remember coming back to the huddle and looking up at the team, and all of them were cool, stoic, and they just were, ready to play. And I think they made me a little bit more calm because they were confident that we were going to win. And so getting into that overtime, we came up with a really hard draw control win off the 30, not on the circle. Sophie Shaw came up with that. And then it came down to stuff that we had talked about throughout the game, where we're, recognizing when you're open and when a defender leaves you, and having great vision as a feeder. And it just came together, and we were able to get the overtime goal, which was really exciting. And, looking back on it, I think we really had to fight to win that game. But it never really felt like we were down. Some games feel, even when you're up, you feel like we're not playing well, but we played really well and we're able to execute a lot on offense.
So you talk about not liking overtime games, and the players had the kind of the cool demeanor. Were you trying to project a cool demeanor as a head coach? Was it the whole duck thing, calm on the surface and underneath it's all going?
I think it was. I remember saying out loud, like, as soon as the final whistle blew, like, I hate overtime. And then that was like the only moment I really allowed for myself. And then I walked away with Coach Temples, and we drew up what we were thinking and who we wanted on the field, and came back. And then, I just said to them, like, this is another opportunity. Like, this is kind of what sports is about. So let's just go finish.
Because players are watching.
Yeah.
They want to see how their leaders are going to react when times are not going well, right?
Absolutely. And you don't want to give them any doubt, like, does she not think we can do this? And I never thought for a second that we weren't going to win. It's just that you hate those pressure situations. And in lacrosse, it's sudden death. So it's, first goal to win. And, like I said, the draw is so 50-50 that it's not a given. You have to fight for everything to win overtime games. We are in the Crease, our Furman women's lacrosse look back and preview of the coming week as we will do this this week. Well, next week there will be one regular season game the following week, and then postseason. So we've got 2-3 more weeks of this to go as we've instituted this here at the latter part of this season as kind of a preview for what we'll do for a full year next year. Who played well for you against Winthrop? Hannah Dentino had a phenomenal week. She We put her in different spots. She's usually a midi, but with some injuries, she's been playing full attack or full defense. But on attack this week, she really was so versatile, dodging from up top, dodging from low, feeding from the elbow, and I think she walked away from the week with 8 goals and probably 12 points in 2 games, which is great. Meg Beal, also just the players are developing, I think, offensively, where Meg Beal is usually inside and receiving feeds. This week she was more of a feeder. So that was really nice to see. And I would say Anna Roser, always just very solid and does her job really well. Defensively, Ellie Roser had a really tough couple matchups this week and was able to really do her job well and stay a leader on defense.
How important is it for you to have players who have the kind of flexibility, who can play different positions, who can be, as you said, can play midfield, can play attack, can play defense only, can do different things when you ask it? And how many of those players do you want?
It's crucial, especially this season with as small as a team we have. We can't have kids that pigeonhole themselves because, you never know where you're going to need anyone. So it's huge to have players that are versatile, I think, physically, but also mentally. Have to be willing to actually be put in a new spot. And
that's usually the bigger challenge, isn't it?
Always. So it's kind of like you nudge them and like kind of just toss it out like, hey, well, what do you think about playing midfield? And then get some practice rotations and see how they just do without any coaching, and then kind of start coaching, and then game time. And they have to go and do what you practice. But you always want to have, probably a select few kids that are able to just fill in at different spots, knowing that they'll be successful there.
So both of these wins obviously were Big South wins, conference wins, and the rest of the season obviously is conference play. So you're 5-1 in the league now. You're 5-6 overall. All 5 of your wins have come in league play. You're playing well in the most important games for you at the right time of the season. Where is this team right now compared to where it was at the beginning of the season in your eyes?
I think we have evolved a lot. We've progressed, I think, and we're just starting to get to the peak, I think, where I'm starting to see things come together on both ends, and what our feedback is as a group has developed, where I think in all of our non-conference games, it was kind of the same feedback. You have to play with energy. You got to play all 4 quarters. You got to, do this, that, and the other on attack and defense. And now we're kind of getting more into the nuanced pieces of being successful on either end of the field. So we've definitely just been battle tested and have seen a lot of different situations in the season, whether we've been getting pummeled, by ranked teams, or, we've had great shine against a ranked opponent and weren't able to close, been down and had to fight back, and now just recently being in overtime, and we've seen aggressive, we've seen fast. So I think that's really helped us with experience.
And the only way to learn those lessons is to learn them. I mean,
Exactly.
there's no shortcut. There's no magic formula. You can't read them in a book. You've got to go out and in sports, you take your lumps, and you fight through it, and you go back and you study film, and you learn from your mistakes and do all of those things, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think the biggest piece is actually feeling what it's like and feeling the differences mentally as a player of what it feels like to, be down by 5 goals and come back and win, or be up by 6 goals and have to fight in overtime. Like, you get familiar in those situations. So in postseason, it's not brand new, and you have just the experience to play through those things.
We are with Kirkland Lewis in the Crease, talking Furman women's lacrosse. Recording this on Monday. These will drop every Monday for the next 2 or 3 weeks as we close out the regular season and go into the postseason. So let's take a look at what's coming up on Wednesday, right back here at Paladins Stadium against High Point.
Yes. So that will be a really competitive game. A lot of purple going on, but High Point traditionally in the Big South is number 1. I think this was their first time losing a Big South game since 2016, early on in the season. So for us, I think we just have to, again, have play elevated and make sure we sustain our level of play through the whole game and really complete a full 60 minutes. We've yet to do that.
What's the scouting report on them? What makes them so good?
They have grad students that are really experienced, and I think they're one of the few teams in the conference that are as fast as us. So that'll be a little bit of a change for us. Is that when we're sprinting down the field, I think there's going to be someone right next to us when usually we're gone. But the experience piece and then the pace of play that they move at is really fast, and they're always looking to push the fast break to goal.
And then Saturday, you're on the road at Campbell.
Yeah. And so these are, I think, Campbell and High Point are our last two really competitive games that will affect Big South seeding. So those are Campbell is just another team that has a large roster and has a couple kids that do a lot for them. So just neutralizing them, but also making sure that we're capitalizing off of our opportunities, whether that's offensively or defensively.
And that's a 1:00 start in Bowie's Creek. I have actually been to Bowie's Creek on a couple of occasions. There's not a lot to do there other than play college athletics.
That is what I'm hearing. I have yet to have the honor to go, but I'm told that, it's just the school and, business trip. Go there, win, come back.
which is why they're fans in the places that I've been. We played in a postseason basketball tournament there. Furman men's basketball did. I think it was 2017, and won. But it was a heck of an atmosphere.
Diehard fans.
One of those places, not much else to do. So
right. Come together for sports.
Maybe a smaller version of Starkville, Mississippi, Stark Vegas.
Can't say I'm familiar with that. What's there?
Mississippi State.
Oh,
yeah.
Yep.
So.
Okay, I'm a northern girl.
Yeah, I understand. Well, we'll get you acclimated. Don't worry
I'm learning.
about that.
I'm learning.
And then, of course, we'll talk more about this next week. But a week from Wednesday, regular season finale and the home finale against PC.
Right, and that'll be our senior day, so that'll just be a really fun game.
Yeah, so
as well.
we'll talk a lot about that and highlight your seniors then. So two opportunities this week, and hopefully for the home game, especially on Wednesday against High Point, we get folks out here and get a bunch of folks in here.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, good stuff. Let's have another good week.
Yeah, try to go 2-0 again. Thanks so much.
Go knock off the Giants, right?
Yeah.
Let's do it. All right. That is Kirkland Lewis. You have been in the crease with Furman Women's Lacrosse. We'll be back again next week with another edition. And until then, for Kirkland, I'm Dan Scott saying God bless you and so long, everybody.